Welcome to Audit the Audit, where we sort out the who and what and the right and wrong of police interactions. This episode covers pedestrian laws, legal advice, and interfering with an investigation, and is brought to us by Pot Brothers at Law's channel. Be sure to check out the description below and give them the credit that they deserve. Before we dive into the interaction, I want to give a big thanks to the sponsor of this episode, News Voice. If you're looking for a fresh perspective on all the major news headlines, or the most accurate information on a breaking story, News Voice is your answer. The News Voice app offers its users all the latest news in one easy-to-use app by compiling stories from sources all over the world. Each story shows multiple sources from all sides of the political spectrum that are tagged with their origin and bias. News Voice even lets you take part by adding sources and stories that you find relevant, and upvoting stories that you think are important. Whether you're interested in the latest tech news or investigative pieces, you can create a personalized newsfeed within the app so that your News Voice experience is tailored to your preferences. The News Voice app is available on both iOS and Android and is completely free. You can support ATA by downloading News Voice using the link in the description and experience a new take on the news. Thanks again to News Voice for sponsoring this episode. The details surrounding this interaction are scarce, and I was unable to locate the original poster of this video. On the channel that it was featured on, the description states that the video was shared from @Florida Fair Housing Alliance. But the only account I could find that was associated with that username is this Instagram account, and the video is not posted there. It is unclear when this video was taken, but the title of the video indicates that this interaction took place in Florida, and the recording citizen mentions that the officers are deputies from the Polk County Sheriff's Office in Central Florida. This detail is confirmed later in the video when the recording citizen zooms in on the patrol vehicles. It is also safe to assume that the interaction took place along the northbound lane of US 27, according to this sign. The video begins just as the recording citizen notices an officer approach a man standing on the side of the road. For the sake of clarity, I will refer to the citizen the officers are interacting with as Mr. Purple, and the citizen recording the interaction as recording citizen. It should also be noted that I have altered the audio of the original video so that it is easier to hear what the deputies are saying.
Sir, he did something illegal? He did something illegal? He did something illegal? He's waiting for the bus.
As with most states, it is illegal to stand in the middle of the roadway, even when no sidewalks are present. Subsection 3 of Florida Vehicle Code 316.130 states that where sidewalks are provided, no pedestrian shall, unless required by other circumstances, walk along and upon the portion of a roadway paved for vehicular traffic. And subsection 4 of that code states that where sidewalks are not provided, any pedestrian walking along and upon a highway shall, when practicable, walk only on the shoulder on the left side of the roadway in relation to the pedestrian's direction of travel, facing traffic which may approach from the opposite direction. It is also important to note that subsection 5 states that standing in the portion of a roadway paved for vehicular traffic for the purpose of soliciting a ride is also forbidden. This is important information for later in this episode. If Mr. Purple was standing in the roadway, then the deputies would be well within their authority to stop and interact with him. But the video does not show whether Mr. Purple was in the road, or whether the deputies received any calls about him standing in the road.
Is he suspected of a crime? No, it's not all right. Is he suspected of a crime, sir? What's your name and badge number?
I'll tell you in a minute. Don't interrupt, okay?
Why did you stop him?
Sheriff 844 badge. You can stand over and don't interrupt.
Yeah, I appreciate you, though.
All right?
You
Stand over there. That's fine.
I know where I can stand at.
But don't be interrupting my investigation.
I'm not interrupting your investigation. No, I'm not. Has he been suspected of a crime? What investigation? Sir, you don't have to answer any questions. None.
While it is almost always a good idea to record interactions between citizens and police, interjecting with roadside legal advice may not always serve the best interests of the citizens involved. The recording citizen tells Mr. Purple that he does not have to answer the deputy's questions, and that much is true. However, the recording citizen goes on to tell Mr. Purple later in the video that he does not have to provide the deputies his name, which may be incorrect depending on the circumstances. If the deputies had witnessed Mr. Purple standing in the middle of the road, then the deputies would be within their authority to demand identification from him. The deputies may also have received a call about someone matching Mr. Purple's description, which could also give them the authority to ascertain his identity. The point is that the recording citizen has no way of knowing all of the facts involved in this interaction, and offering impromptu legal advice that is absent of an intimate understanding of the facts surrounding any interaction may do more harm than good. Silently recording a police encounter is a great way to ensure that all parties involved are held accountable for their actions. Anything beyond that is unnecessary and has the potential to exacerbate the encounter.
Even this guy right here is telling you to calm down. You're making situations a lot worse. He's telling you he doesn't need you. He's telling you to calm down.
Doesn't matter.
Let him speak.
I'm a citizen. I'm a free American.
All right?
Okay? You have no constitutional right to stop this gentleman. He's at the bus stop, a public place.
What you are doing, and you're interfering with my investigation, which is a jailable offense in the state.
What investigation? What crime has he been suspected of committing?
Florida is one of the few states which does not have a specific law for interfering with an investigation. Chapter 843 of Florida's Criminal Code is entirely devoted to crimes relating to the obstruction of justice, but none of them contain specific language related to interfering with an investigation via vocal protest. This is likely due to the Supreme Court's rejection of the legal concept as a whole. For example, in the 1987 Supreme Court case of Houston versus Hill, the court held that, quote, a municipal ordinance that makes it unlawful to interrupt a police officer in the performance of his duty is substantially overbroad and therefore invalid on its face under the First Amendment. The court noted that laws forbidding citizens from expressing their disdain for the conduct of law enforcement officials essentially criminalizes a substantial amount of constitutionally protected speech and accords the police unconstitutional enforcement discretion. The court concluded that laws forbidding such speech, quote, impermissibly provides police with unfettered discretion to arrest individuals for words or conduct that are simply annoying or offensive. The recording citizen is well within his rights to voice his opinion of the deputy's conduct, and the deputies are under no legal obligation to acknowledge his presence. Even if there was a Florida statute that the deputies could charge the recording citizen with, it would likely be struck down by a higher court.
I know it's a lot going on right now, but I want to get man. So I'm straight though. I'm all right. I appreciate it. I am. I'm all right.
And the bus stop
He's about to
is
take
over
me
there.
down. He's about to take me down 27. I'm all right. I appreciate it.
Here, Mr. Purple tells the recording citizen that he is okay and admits that he was hitchhiking, which, as mentioned earlier, could have been an illegal act depending on where he was located along the roadway. Mr. Purple also informs the recording citizen that the deputy was attempting to give him a ride, not arrest or cite him. It is clear from Mr. Purple's statement that the deputies had no ill intentions and were in the process of helping him, but the recording citizen continues to antagonize the deputies.
You took an oath to the Constitution, sir.
That's right, sir. We sure did.
So respect it. Respect the Constitution. I'm a tax-paying citizen just like you. Just like you, sir.
Oh, I understand. I do. Probably better than you understand.
Well, you have a duty to uphold that Constitution. This gentleman is on his way in free passage. You have no reason to stop him.
He's standing out in the middle of the road, sir.
Oh, he has free passage. He's not been suspected of committing any crime. Sir, you don't have to give him your name, dude. At all. You don't have to tell him nothing. And I want your name and badge number. I will be speaking to your supervisor and Grady.
He's trying to go if you're trying to up so bad.
Yeah.
What's your name and badge number, sir?
You don't need to know.
Yeah, you have a duty to tell me. What is your name and badge number? Ma'am, what's your name and badge number? I'll be making a complaint on each one of you. My dude, you need a ride? You need a ride? I got you, my dude. Come on.
The recording citizen offers Mr. Purple a ride, and he accepts. After exchanging a few choice words with the deputies, the video ends. It is unclear if there was any further interaction, but it appears as though the encounter ended there. Overall, the Polk County deputies get an A-, because although they displayed a misunderstanding of their authority in regards to interfering with an investigation, the deputies remained relatively calm in the face of the recording citizen's criticisms, were actively attempting to help Mr. Purple instead of arresting or citing him, and remained within the bounds of their authority throughout the interaction. It is entirely possible that the deputies were operating with the understanding that they could not arrest the recording citizen for his conduct, but were merely attempting to stop him from interrupting their discussion with Mr. Purple by stating that he was interfering with their investigation. It is worth noting that the deputies never explicitly stated that they would arrest the recording citizen if he continued, but alluded to the notion that interfering was a jailable offense. All that said, the deputies could have simply explained that they were attempting to help Mr. Purple and not arrest him, but whether that would have changed the recording citizen's demeanor is doubtful, considering that he continued his rant long after becoming aware of that fact. The officers remained within the bounds of their authority throughout the interaction and exercised a respectable degree of discretion by offering Mr. Purple a ride and allowing him to go free with the recording citizen. The recording citizen gets a C-, because although it is admirable that he took the time to record Mr. Purple's interaction, he suggested questionable advice during the encounter, made grand assumptions about the deputy's conduct with no factual evidence or context, and continued to berate the officers after discovering their true intentions. It is clear that the recording citizen held a certain disdain for law enforcement and used this interaction as a means to express his perspective, despite Mr. Purple's request to stop. The recording citizen decided to engage with the deputies without knowing any of the facts beyond what he could see, and reached the conclusion that the deputies were harassing Mr. Purple without any evidence to support his position. Although members of law enforcement have garnered a bad reputation over the years, it is important to examine every interaction on the basis of its facts, and resist the urge to assume that every police encounter involves misconduct. I commend the recording citizen for being willing to take the risk of recording and for offering Mr. Purple a ride, but I also censure the notion that citizens should take it upon themselves to intervene in police encounters on the basis of circumstantial assumptions. Let us know if there is an interaction or legal topic you would like us to discuss in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more police interaction content.